Good evening and welcome to the S.W.E.L. Happy Hour, the art of communication. Yes, our topic is get your spice rack now. Yes, it's going to be a very interesting show tonight. Very, very interesting. It's all about bedroom adventures. And our segment tonight is entitled The Games That Grown-Ups Play. Wouldn't you like to know? So if this is your first time here at S.W.E.L.L, S-W-E-L-L, you might want to know, well, what exactly is S.W.E.L.L? This thing keeps flipping because I'm trying to move this. There we go. Now we go. Yes. So sorry about that. You might be wondering, what is S.W.E.L.L? Well, S.W.E.L.L for women is sexual wellness and empowered living lifestyles, excuse me, for women. S.W.E.L. for Women is an infotainment forum. It arms women with a different perspective about sex, sexual wellness, so that they gain self-esteem, confidence, and knowledge about the healing benefits of adult toys. Yes, a swell woman struts her stuff because she knows that she has unleashed that inner sexual goddess. That's right. S.W.E.L.L. Happy Hour, however, is 60 minutes of virtual edutainment about sexual wellness. One guest star, one host, and one topic. The intention is to create a new perspective about sex, sexual wellness, and to develop a new appreciation for sex toys. All those words were so taboo back in the 1800s, even the 1900s. But now we are here to put the spotlight on it. Sex is good. Wouldn't you agree? Yes, that's why you're here. Well, S.W.E.L.L has 7 topics. It's 7 pillars, and we explore those 7 topics every month. So we host a show that's around the theme from our list of 7. And the intention is to create awareness about sexual dysfunctions, available remedies, and inspire new conversations about sex. Here are the topics in case you're wondering. Woohoo! They are so juicy. There is cream. That's talking about oral sex. Then how to throw your own party for one. That's about masturbation. Then rear entry only, please. That's anal play. This never happens to me. How many times have we heard that? Oh, this never happens to me. That's about erectile dysfunction. And what about, oops, I didn't mean to. That's premature ejaculation. And what about your libido goes bye-bye? That's when you have low T and low L. We talk about those issues. But tonight we're talking about that spice rack. Yes, bedroom adventures, number 7. And we know that curiosity kills a cat, but the games that grown-ups play, that's why curiosity will not kill this pussycat. Yes, our play on words. Yes, I love it. This brings to mind what Rodney Dangerfield said. He says, my wife wants sex in the back of the car, and she wants me to drive. That doesn't speak too well of him. Well, I hope that you feel comfortable tonight, because at 8:15 or 15 minutes after the hour, we will lock the doors just so that we can have free-flowing, comfortable conversations about sex. Anything you want to ask me, you want to ask the guest, any topic that you want to bring up about our topic tonight, please feel free. We want you to feel as comfortable as possible. And why should we be having bedroom adventures? Well, I'll tell you why. Because a healthy sex life builds that connection, that intimacy. Yeah? Routine equals boredom equals roommates. How many of them are floating around the place? Oh, that's my best friend. Roommates. And not only that, but a healthy sex life, it brings an improved mood plus improved communication equals bridge to the emotional gap. How many of us been in relationships where you feel so emotionally detached? Intimacy gone bye-bye. Yeah. Okay. Bedroom Adventures is our story tonight, and we have a phenomenal guest. She's a friend to the show. She's been here before, and I know that you will love to hear from this lady. Yes, indeedy. This woman is in charge of the Skin Hunger Project in Aurora, Colorado. Her name is Miss Marcella Lyles. Marcella, say hello.
Hello. Hello. I never feel like I can live up to like the bravado, you know? It's just like, whoa, who is this person? I want to meet them. That lady. To call
That's
her.
right. You are fabulous, ma'am. You are fabulous. Marcella has been teaching people how to get in touch with themselves and others for over 4 years. So come join the conversations as she puts you in touch with the things that matter most to you and your mojo. And if you stay till the end, guess what? We both have gifts for you. Yes! I love gifts because that's one of my love languages, gift giving. I don't know if you know too much about love languages, but gift giving is one of my favorite love languages, and as it is Marcella's, right, Marcella?
No. I have 3 that kind of fight for the top, which is really in line with my work. But I do like what you bring up is that your work does show up this is a labor of love. And so your love language would show up in your labor of love. My love languages actually are quality time,
Okay.
physical touch, and words of affirmation. And so those 3, and then somewhere that way is acts of service and gifts. Like that way.
Okay, well, I can appreciate that. That. Acts of service is up there on the top of mine as well, too. Well, in case you're wondering.
And I actually think that might be a good place for us to start, is how do we bridge that gap between somebody's love languages being so different and the need that because that becomes part of the game.
Because
the game that we play is I give you what I need in the hopes that you will give me what I gave you.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. So just give me one second here. In case anyone's wondering who on earth I am, well, I'm the host. My name is SpeakerMC, aka Marcia Chambers. Yes, I'm a speaker and sexual wellness consultant, and my area of expertise is working with women who are lonely in their relationships to go from sexless to steamy. Yes, that's me. I can bring it on like Donkey Kong. That's right. And I also have another free gift for you. Yeah, so stay tuned to the end. A little bit more about me is that as a speaker and sexual wellness consultant, I share my message with women about having better sex and better intimacy so that they give themselves permission to be sensual, sexual, and begin to lead empowered lives. My mission is to reduce the world's divorce rate by 50%. And with your help, yes, we can. Yes, we can. We heard those phrases before. And that's the reason why I created S.W.E.L.L for women, because I noticed a lot of women, a lot of people just exchanging DNA without asking the right questions beforehand. And then they subject the rest of us to all their freaking dysfunctions. You know, those traffic jams? Yeah, people going where they don't want to go? Yes. I produce and I host a few shows that share my message about female sexuality. And they are S.W.E.L.L Happy Hour, which you are at today, S.W.E.L.L Playroom, which I do on Fridays, and the Bushes Swelling Show, which is a radio show that airs on Thursdays. All three concentrate on shifting how we think about sex and sexuality. My show on Mondays is called the SpeakerMC Show, and that's all about relationships. And we explore how we relate to ourselves, to our environment, and to each other. But tonight, we are here to talk about sex. Yes. Now let me make this bigger. Yes, all about us. So Marcella, I am going to unmute you. Are you muted?
I
Oh,
know,
no.
but I think I muted myself, and then I had a mom. My mom. I'm on mom duty. So
Oh, okay. No worries.
I dipped out really quick and came back. Nobody knows.
So Marcella, tonight we are talking about these couples who are going through that dip in their relationship. And I know all relationships, it's like up and down and up and down, but you have to be in the game and you have to be in it to win it. You know, you have to have that commitment. But what is going to happen? First of all, let's identify when they're at that low point. Sometimes they're there and don't even realize that they're there. How can we identify that for them?
Well, first thing,
I'm sorry. Welcome to S.W.E.L.L. Yes, now go ahead.
I think first of all, we have to really acknowledge that there's nothing normal. And as a relationship coach and as a sexuality educator, I think the biggest work I do is breaking up this idea that there's normal. Like there's something I can compare it to. So like, oh, well, the neighbor down the street gets 5 blowjobs and the one around the corner gets like 7 blowjobs. So I should be able to negotiate for like at least 4 to 6 blowjobs. And like, this is how we conduct our relationships. Like, like here's the normal, Instead of really taking a personal inventory of our own established baseline. What does this relationship look like from the beginning? So like when we first met, you got like 20 blowjobs and now you're getting 2. Okay, then that's your baseline versus your norm, your currency. So that I believe in. You have a normal. Relationships in general do not have a normal. So first I want to when you're talking about identifying when are they there, stop reading the damn Cosmo. Put the Cosmo down. Leave the Cosmo in the bathroom for the guests while they,
Do the number 2.
Right. Unless it's Teen Cosmo, because Teen Cosmo is Teen Vogue is really anyway, but that's a different conversation. So you have to know what is your normal, not compared to what is a society normal, not what is compared to the neighbor's normal, not compared to what is your friend's normal. The first thing that relationship people do is they look at their friend's relationship and then they're mad that she didn't get what they got. Well, did you suck dick like she did? Because if you didn't, then you can't complain. And you also don't know the work that went into their relationship because you don't know what their normal is. So first and foremost, boom, I want to just knock that right out the box. Okay. How do you know that how do you know that you're in a slump? You go to you look at what was your high point. And you look at like, what was it and my high point might be different than my partner's high point. My partner's high point might have been that time that I just let him play video games and didn't bother him. You know what I'm saying? So you have to really start to negotiate relationships these days. It used to be that relationships had very clear, not only gender roles, but expectations and things to do that with. That's why we do it. But as we go more into personhood and we go into self-created relationships and we break up these stereotypes, now we have to do more work. We have to do more talking. We have to do more checking in. So if your partner's normal was that same 6 or 7 blowjobs and your normal is 3 or 4, or only when he does, you have a list, you're negotiating the terms of the blowjob, then that needs to be compared and talked about.
Well,
So,
okay. I like that you're basing that argument around the blowjobs, but there's also a point where there used to be intimacy. There
and
used
I'm
to
gonna,
be conversations. There used to be that fun, that, oh, let's go do this, oh, let's go do that. And all that stuff is missing from the now equation. And that could be because of a lot of other things, other things that seem to take priority.
I don't think that, I think that that's what we're fed, but I try to use something similar like blowjobs, but that's just my word of like, that's my placeholder. It could be anything. It could be top walks. It could be anything. But my thing is that whatever you want, we now have to negotiate for. We have to now talk about it. It cannot be assumed. If it's not
Hmm.
blowjobs for you, if it is walks in the park, then that's what you get to talk about. Whatever your blowjob is, you need to be looking at how many of this thing or how frequently was it happening when I was feeling the most fed, and how is it and where is it, what's happening to it now. So it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be blowjobs.
but there's so many couples who are in these relationships that
Mhm.
they can't even ask a simple question of their partner. Meanwhile, they're exchanging DNA and they can't have that simple conversation.
Then that's probably when they need coaching, and far more than what I can give them on a phone call or anything. That if you can't talk to your partner, you don't have the foundation for what I'm talking about. The foundation for what I'm talking about are people who, fuck you isn't the only thing that they say in the hallway. And
Hmm.
that by that point, I'm in a different conversation with a couple like that. I'm not where you're trying to get them to. So if they're not even able to talk to each other, um, and they don't want to do coaching, they don't have time,
Hmm.
then usually what I would recommend is I start them off really slow. Ways to build intimacy when it's completely gone is I put them on my 5-minute relationship wellness workshop, where
Hmm.
they learn and practice and build up different skills at 5 minutes at a time. Now, the last time I did this, people thought that they would just come into this workshop and it would literally take only 5 minutes and that's what they would walk away with. No, it's a 30-day program that builds you up to the 5 minutes. Like, you have to really start to unpack, how did you even get to where you can't talk to each other?
I
How
was
did
just
you
going to
even
say that. Yeah.
how did you even get to where you can't stand to be in the room with them? If
Hmm.
you're taking an intensive 30-day course where your major goal is spending 5 minutes of intimate time with the person, that really, I am your hope before you are talking to lawyers. Like that, the relationship is that it's really that far gone, because you really have to understand that these people are saying they don't intentionally invest at least 5 minutes a day into their relationship.
So I've heard from couples where they've used the excuse that the children, the routine with the children, that was one excuse. Then the other was, well, we have different shifts, and we've got more demanding jobs, and he's away, then I'm away, then we like two shifts in the night, and then the gap just gets wider and wider and wider. And it's not like they don't want to do something about it. They realize that, oh my God, how did we get here? But to take the time to actually plan something. So I say, well, either you want to do it or you don't want to do it. If you want to do it, you'll make the time, because time is just a construct. You can construct that shit any which way and make it pliable to your situation. But when they get so caught up in that bravado, like, oh, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, and then the gap is so far gone, there's no communication, there's no intimacy, there's nothing, nothing. And then anybody can just slip right in the middle of that one, that kind of disconnect. So for those couples, I know it
But
seems like a simple answer, just make the time to figure it
mm,
out, but what would you suggest?
the first question I ask them is, you just spent 5 minutes complaining.
Hmm.
You just can't. You spent 10 minutes coming up with excuses.
So either you do it or shit or get off the pot, basically.
And I think what they don't want to realize is that at that point, the relationship is on its last legs anyway. And what you just haven't said is we don't have a relationship and we don't know how to come to terms with the way that the relationship was. And when people hear me say that, they immediately expect me to say divorce. I'm not talking necessarily about divorce. I'm saying that you have to acknowledge that you didn't have the relationship. You no longer have. Remember when we started at the beginning where we were talking about normal? You no longer have that. And so until you acknowledge that, you're just working in the ghost of whatever there was, you know? And so now you have the ghost of a relationship that you used to have, but you don't have the relationship that you used to have. So you are investing in the relationship that you have. So it's not so much shit or get off the pot, it's acknowledge it or don't. It's acknowledge that you have the relationship that you have and not the relationship that you used to have. And now you're just my relationship now is that I make excuses on why I can't spend time with my partner. Boom, authenticity. And that way, because I am a coach. I am not a counselor for a reason. If you leave my office, Marcia, now you already know I don't play. You already know I do not leave people's lives untransformed. If you spend an hour with me, you are getting something.
Yes,
listen,
you are.
I don't care if it's on accident. I don't care if it's on purpose. I don't care if you get it 2 days later. You spend an hour with me, you are getting something. I don't have time. No. I don't work like that. That's not how my life is set up. So, so either they want to acknowledge, and the minute that they acknowledge, this is the relationship that I have, they are freed up from any expectation. And now they are allowed to create newly from what they have. You know, it would be as ridiculous as saying, I used to have a house in Colorado, okay? And now I live, somewhere else. And so my whole time that I'm somewhere else, I talk about my time in Colorado. How effective is that?
Well, they miss it. Yeah, it's not effective, but the fact that they're acknowledging where they were means that they miss it. They miss it. They want to get back to that.
No, it means they have not. No, it means they haven't dealt with where they are now. You can miss whatever you had when you start to acknowledge where you are. Okay? You know, that's like being with the boyfriend 3 months ago. Now you with the boyfriend and all you can do is talk about the boyfriend from 3 months ago. Well, guess what the boyfriend now is going to tell you? Well, go ahead and be with his ass then.
Bye.
Peace. I don't need to hear this every time you come into my space about something else.
Okay.
Acknowledge where you are. And that can be really hard for people.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because acknowledging where you are means maybe we have no intimacy. Acknowledging where you are means I'm tired and the children make me feel unsexy. Acknowledging where you are means I don't love you anymore, I'm not in love with you, or some variation of that unspoken. Saying where you are means I'm saying I'm angry with you. And I've been angry with you for a very long time. That's why I'm withholding myself and my time, and I'm making excuses because instead of telling you that I'm angry, it's better for me to take myself away from you than to admit to you that I'm angry.
And those unresolved issues, they just blow up and create that big ass gap and resentment and withholding sex and passing like two ships in the night and not speaking to each other. I mean, this whole roller coaster and this big ball of dysfunction. And then if they have children, those children suffer.
Well, and that's why I called the segment. And that's why I called it the games that adults play. Because if you really look, it's no different than a 5-year-old holding their breath until they get what they want.
Mm-hmm.
If you look, it's no different than putting tape down the middle of the room and be like, I'm not coming on your side. How old are you? How old are you? You should have developed some more skills. But the truth is, most of us haven't developed a whole lot of skills. We're just, we're big kids, and we have the skills that we have, and they work until they don't work. But by the time they don't work, we're too stubborn to admit, like I said, that they're not working.
So how do we remedy and spice up this dysfunctional relationship?
Okay.
Now they've acknowledged, and now they want to do better. Now they want more. They want where they used to be. They want that again.
Okay. So good. So each one of those points that they acknowledge now becomes a different game.
Okay, game one.
Game one. I don't have time. Good. All right. Then be like Senator Walsh, reclaiming my time. Go out and reclaim your time. That's your first homework assignment. Mm-hmm. Go reclaim your time. Look at where, instead of investing in your relationship and speaking life into your relationship, you are speaking death into your relationship, and go reclaim your time.
Okay. All right.
Because if you just stop speaking death into your relationship, you will reclaiming my time. I love her. I'm sorry. You will get your time back. Do you understand? Like when I said you just spent 10 minutes complaining,
mm-hmm.
I wasn't being funny. That's time on the table. Like if you had $100 and you realized that you just left it on the table, you would go back and claim it.
Okay. So tell me game two. Tell me game two. I'm tired. There's no intimacy. I feel so unsexy.
Okay, okay. I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. I'm tired. Great. So what are things that make you feel energetic? When was the last time that you went and looked at your blood count? One thing, especially for women of color, one thing that we don't talk about, and this is a different conversation, is that vitamin D levels in women and women of color dip very, very much. And vitamin D is a vital, it is like the super power to energy.
Vitamin D?
Alacrity.
Vitamin
D.
Vitamin D?
No. See, that's why I can't talk to you. We cannot have a grown-up conversation to save our life. Look at you. No. Okay. Marcia. Okay. No.
The sun vitamin D? Oh, that one. But doesn't that cause cancer?
No. I'm gonna put you. Can I mute you? Can I put you in timeout? Can I mute you? No. Look at people. Look at people's face. They don't even know what to do right now. They need to reclaim their time. They need like a good 5 minutes. Time out, Jesus. Time out. Tap out. No. Will you behave? I am talking about vitamin D. I'm talking about vitamins A, B, C, but for women, I am talking about vitamin D. And why am I talking about vitamin D? Because unlike vitamin E or vitamin A, vitamin D the drop in vitamin D mimics fatigue. It mimics diabetes. It makes you look sick when you're not sick. And how I learned that is it gives you insomnia. It gives you irritability. How do I know? Because I had it. And I don't mean like I had it like I had it for like a minute. No, I had a vitamin D deficiency so bad the doctor looked me in the face and said, "How did you make it to my office?"
Wow. So
it is critical. See, I told you, we ain't even 30 minutes yet. Ain't even 30 minutes. So change your life. Because if you go and look up vitamin D, that deficiency alone, especially in women and especially women of color, causes a lot of the I'm tired. It causes a lot of the depressions. It causes a lot of mood swings. It can, adding that can boost your energy within hours. So that's the first thing. Are you getting health? Are you healthy? Also, listen, I'm tired is real, especially if you have children, and I mean multiple children, or if you're nursing children or whatever, that's real. So I'm tired is not a cop-out. It needs to be acknowledged, and probably what needs to be happening is asking for help.
Right.
What
the leadership wants to kick in right there. Delegate.
Right. Well, delegate.
Honey, do this. Honey, do that, please.
Well,
honey, can you breastfeed? No, I'm just kidding.
And not only that, what they can do a kangaroo hold and then feed the baby with the bottle. Works just as well.
Yes.
They can actually do that. I teach a class on how men can actually, with my touch work, how can men actually be involved with the imprinting on babies, so they can. Okay? Now you just have to be creative, and that's why each one of these articulations gives you a new game to play. Okay, so we dealt with I'm tired. We dealt with I don't have time. What's the next one? I'm angry.
No, I'm unsexy. I feel unsexy. A lot of women tend to suffer from that self-esteem issue.
Okay, good.
So, that, when we got married or when we got together, I was a size 2, and now look at me, I'm a size 4. I feel so this, oh, I had a baby and I have these stretch marks. Oh, stuff.
Okay, and again, we're looking at that normal.
Yes, that's their normal.
We're looking at that normal, and we're looking at like what that used to be instead of what it is now, right? So yes, you have stretch marks, but you're a body that birthed the body. Honor that. You're a body that birthed the body. I personally believe that every woman who delivers children needs like a star for like
badge.
A baby. We need literally blood, sweat, tears, joints. Like it's real. It's like one of the most death-defying things that we do. And we just act like, well, our body's supposed to just bounce back. You just abused me for 10 months. I don't know that I even want to talk to you, So acknowledging that. And then instead of just whining, I don't feel sexy, what would make you feel sexy? And who is telling you that you don't feel sexy? Because 9 times out of 10, when I see, like if I sell lingerie or something like that, the women are the ones who talk the men out of buying it. It's not the men. The men are like, look, how about this? You just buy it. They don't care. They don't care. They would rather buy the lingerie and throw it on the floor. Because for them, that's where it's going to wind up anyway. So, hey, buy it and throw it on the floor. They don't care. Buy it, honey. Buy it. Roll it on the floor. Yay! Done.
And even the stretch marks, guys don't care. Guys don't care that you have stretch marks. As Cat Williams say, either you were a big girl and you got small, or you were a small girl and you got big.
And they
End of story. and that's okay. Care. Yeah.
Now, if you bring it up and you make it a place of vulnerability, or if you're in an abusive relationship, then that might be a time when that comes up. But a lot of that time, that self-abuse is for us. Right. That is from us, to us, by us. Most times he's saying, honey, you look fine, and you're sitting there wasting that time that you don't have and that energy that you didn't, work on to say, no, I'm not sexy. So you're losing all 3 in one conversation.
Right.
Right. One of the sexiest things I've ever done is I went and did boot wall photos. Lots of Groupons. Girl, get you some Groupons. Lots of Groupons. Go get a Groupon. Do a sexy photo shoot. Change your life. You don't have to buy the photos, but just going through that process has helped a lot of women just to see themselves, that way.
Right.
So we did, I don't have time. I'm tired. I don't feel sexy.
So one couple mentioned to me that they don't even eat meals together anymore. And it sounds like, okay, a lot of people don't do that. But to them, that was their hub of, that was their normal, their hub of conversation. And it has gotten to a point where work got in the way, everything else got in the way, and now they don't even eat meals at the same time or eat meals together, not even on a Sunday. And they don't even watch TV or, do togetherness things. So the intimacy is like way out there on the windowsill.
Yes. That is the excuse. And I just came up with like 3 ideas. First of all, you have a smartphone. What are we doing? I'm not in your kitchen. I'm not in your living room. I don't know these ladies, but if we were to all whip out a pear or something, we would be eating together. We would have that conversation. So there's lots of ways to build connection. I think that technology has really brought us opportunities to connect. We don't know. They far exceed our training and our ability to utilize them in a way other than like, oh, I'm going to go tweet something. Eminem pissed me off. I'm going to go and tweet about it. We don't know how to really build connection with the tools that we have. Because again, we're back in Colorado and we don't want to admit that we're in Texas. I used to be able to have face-to-face conversations with people, so I'm mad that now people talk via Zoom and whatever. Well, look, that's what
still face-to-face.
That's what people do. Maybe now you're not close enough for me to offer you a Tic Tac, but it's still face-to-face.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And so it's not Colorado, but it is wherever you are now. And so acknowledging that and dealing with, okay, we used to do that. Now we have this. Now you get to see how I just created new opportunity. Boom, just like that.
Well, my recommendation, and I tell this to couples all the time. I said, just invite a stranger in your bed. And they're like, what? And I said, no, you're getting it all wrong. Get a costume. You put on the fireman's outfit or uniform or a t-shirt, and you tie it at the waist and put your hair in pigtails and put on some long socks, and then you're that little schoolgirl. And you're that little schoolgirl, that little badass schoolgirl that cut school or cut class, and now she's in your bed, or he can be that policeman coming to lock you up. I mean, just play those kind of games. Those kind of games are interesting. Those kind of games spice up the relationship. Those kind of games make you feel like, oh my God, my lover is so into me, to think of that kind of creativity.
But Marcia, the only caution I would have is that somebody who isn't even spending time together that's a big leap for them. You've missed like several incremental leaps for them.
No, so, I'm talking about the people who want to regain.
Even then they kind of have to take some baby steps. I'm not saying that those baby steps have to take a long time. But if you went from I don't even see you to a stranger in your bed, not to be funny, but they might not know the difference.
They might roll over anyway.
They might be like, okay, well, shit, I didn't know what you looked like on Tuesday, so I don't know. Next thing you know, one of them gonna be in jail because they called the cops on the other one because they didn't recognize them, and then you're gonna be like, well, I told them to do it. Now you're gonna be bailing them out of jail. So can we scale them back a little bit and have them do things that are a little more, just a little outside their comfort zone? Can they text messages? Can they flirt? Can they send can they send each other, the Snapchats? Or the Instagram, or, something in between just, I don't know you and who the fuck is this in my bedroom? Like, because that is a huge leap. That's a lot. And it's a lot on a woman who is also probably dealing with, I don't feel sexy, I don't have time, and I'm tired. So she uses the time, she's not tired, she gets into this costume, it doesn't go well because there's something else missing, and she feels like that's about her. And now you've just given them more work to work through. So instead of sending them, like this big leap, that is a homework assignment that we build into. Okay? That's a homework assignment that we build into. Maybe we have him shop online for that costume and send it to her. That way they both know that at least one of them is wearing it when it happens, you know? So let's take a few steps back. I love where you're going, but you're getting there way too fast. Okay?
We're in a rush. We're out of time.
We're out of time, you know? But what is intimacy? Intimacy is feeling seen, feeling heard, and feeling valued. That's really what intimacy is. It's not about like, do I just get into the bedroom? You know, one of the online workshops I'm doing right now, we're looking at companionship, and is companionship the same as relationship? And we're breaking that down. And next week we get into intimacy and what is intimacy. And what we talk about is that intimacy is gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Like your number one access to intimacy is gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that if you are grateful to someone, that gives you a sense of you being vulnerable, them being vulnerable to receive it. Like if you know, for those who have intimate relationships with a higher self or whoever, the first time you know that you're out of order with your higher self is that you don't feel grateful for anything. You don't feel grateful that your lights are on. You don't feel grateful for the light, the breath that you've taken. You don't feel grateful. So the first way to get intimate with that higher self is to become grateful. Be grateful for the sky. Be grateful that the lights are on. I've heard you express gratitude at this level, and there is a sense of immediate intimacy, immediate connection, immediate love that transcends all the excuses.
Right.
Because now it's just, you know, look, my lights are on. I don't know, they might not be on tomorrow, but they're on today. Instant gratitude.
Right.
So we talk about intimacy as something not out there over there, but in here that we can generate and then share. So so that's how I would get to intimacy. Not that's a long young
so could you tell us about the hunger project that you have devised out there in Aurora?
Sure. So the Skin Hunger Project is really about the fact that they're just simple facts. Number one, skin is our biggest organ, and it's the most neglected organ on our entire body. It covers most of the surface of who we are, and we pay the least amount of attention to it. People of color maybe pay more attention to it, kind of, sort of, because we put lotion on and things like that. But really, that's more like this and not really exploring and languishing and spending time with our body. You know, somebody asked me, if your hand committed a crime and all you saw were pictures, would you be able to identify your hand? And most people would not. They would not be able to identify their own hand because they don't spend that much time looking at themselves or looking at a partner or anything like that. So the Skin Hunger Project was originally supposed to be a project where I went in and I talked about sensate focus and intentional touching in senior citizens' homes. And I wanted to teach the not the person who's in the home, but the caregiver. So like if my mom is in a home, especially if she's losing her mental memory, I wanted to come in and teach people how body memory could be more reliable than mental memory. And I wound up with a whole bunch of fights and stuff like that. And so now what I do is I just educate people about the importance of touch. And so I have a YouTube channel and I have, you know, different ways to access that. And it's been a wild journey. Like on the day that I actually created the Facebook page. So imagine you're creating a Facebook page in Aurora, Colorado. And as you're about to hit click and build and finish and pretty it up, somebody from Dubai says, I have this. And it's bizarre. And he sat there and we had this beautiful, amazing exchange about how, you know, he knows he's had this. He's tried to explain it to his friends. And the next day he wrote me a letter, a 3-page letter, which I then read. And it really just talks about what it's like to have skin hunger, which is the absence of safe, consensual, non-sexual touch. It's the kind of touch that you would give a kid. And so what I do now is I just teach people how to get that kind of touch and how to build up to it. Because again, you can't just, go say, I say a 5-minute hug, and people look at me like I done slept their whole mama. Like, well, what do you mean a 5-minute hug? I mean a 5-minute hug. And they're like, you mean, are we naked? No, you're not naked. Like, they will try to make it sex. It's like after that 1 minute, well, is somebody's, is his penis in my mouth? Like, I don't know what is with the penis. Where is the penis? It's not a math equation. It's just
a hug.
It's just a hug. Can you calm down for a second, please?
I'm glad you brought up that 5-minute hug. Can you tell us a little bit about, because when I met Marcella introduced me to what I didn't know was a whole new world about.
We were on the phone for an hour.
I know, about cuddlers. Can you just explain what that is and how do you get into it?
Okay.
Into cuddling.
So I am a certified cuddle party facilitator. I hold functions and workshops with the intention of teaching consent and communication using touch as the vehicle. So it's cuddleparty.com. It was started by Reed and Marcia, and we've been around for going on like 13 years. We have almost 200 facilitators around the world, and they're all trained to deliver a very unique and specific certified cuddle party. We were the originators workshop. Now, there are lots of other ones that you can go out there and find. I caution people, and I really want people to make sure that it's a cuddle party certified cuddle party facilitator, because I've heard horror stories like, well, I went to a cuddle party and this happened. No, honey, you weren't at a cuddle party. You were at an orgy. There's a difference.
So explain what the difference is, because to a layperson,
first of all, we're not naked and fucking. That's probably one of the biggest things. We're not naked and fucking.
Yeah, but you're still in clothes, but you still can have dry humping. So what is the difference between?
No. The difference is that in an orgy, if a child walked in, it would be uncomfortable. With cuddle parties, I actually run events where my son, 70 going on 7, who's 80 going to be going on 8 soon, next week, can actually attend, and he can actually help kids with their body autonomy. So it's a totally different world. Our clothes are on. We're practicing body autonomy. We're intentional with our consent. Genitals are not touched. Nobody goes under the clothes. There is no kissing. It is consensual, non-sexual, therapeutic touch. That's it. That's all we have time for. Anything else, you can follow up. If you thought that it was really cute and whatever else, then you do that outside. But we don't handle that here. So first and foremost, I'm a certified cuddle party facilitator. And so you can view that training. There's different ways to approach that training. I don't currently know the prices. When I did it, it was $1,500, still paying them back. But, it does cost something. The other one is, from that, I then was grandfathered, because some of the cuddle party facilitators, we were getting requests for one-on-one cuddling. And a lot of us were very, very, very uncomfortable with one-on-one cuddling because of the implications, because what it could become. So some of our board members and some of our teammates came up with Cuddlist.com, www.cuddlist.com. And what Adam and Maggie did, Madeline did is they came up with a platform to train one-on-one cuddlers to effectively provide what I consider somatic arts therapy. That's what I consider it. And that we then do it in a safe container. They sign agreements. There's all kinds of pictures, so you can't get it wrong. And we sign agreements. And I treat mine like the highest level of massage therapy there is. I have had people read my rules and be like, oh no, this is not what I want. Because I am like, yeah, we take your photo ID and keep it on rec, because we don't know. Mine is right now, I only go based on referral. because I don't know who I'm going to get when I'm in that room by myself.
Well, it's funny you said about referrals. So who actually wants this kind of somatic art to be on their person?
Lots of people, lots and lots, and
Give me
more.
some examples.
There,
I know you said that there are children involved also, but I mean, as grown adults.
That's at a cuddle party, and that's when I'm teaching kids about body autonomy, and that's a different function. When I'm doing one-on-one cuddling, it's been married partners with somebody who is out of the country, or they're sick, and they can't provide that, and the partner doesn't want to have an affair, but realizes that they need touch. And so you might see that with one of the ways we see it is fibromyalgia patients, like the partners of fibromyalgia patients, where that touch itself is painful. Lupus, anything where the body itself is now painful. Okay. One of the interviews I did a series of talks about touch. And one of the talks I did was with a woman, a dear friend of mine, who has a low functioning, but high tactile, low functioning autistic child. And her job is basically to take care of him. Like, she went and got certified, and she gets paid to be his mom and his caregiver, essentially. But she was also then tandem breastfeeding, and he has a high touch need. So by the time there's nothing left for her husband. She's done.
Wow.
Don't look at me. She experiences what I call touch fatigue. She's touched out. She don't breathe on me. And so we had a really candid conversation about how I basically had to chase her down to come to one of my cuddle parties. And when she finally did, she's hooked. If I book it, she's there. Like, it's done. She's hooked. And what it was it was really, for her, it was self-care. It was somebody giving something to her, not her giving out. And she said, as far as a one-on-one cuddler, she would feel more comfortable with her husband coming to a one-on-one cuddler because of the rules that we have, because she knows it's not going to be sexual, because she knows it will give him what he needs. So other people might be gay and the LGBTQIA community that doesn't find acceptance at home or anything like that. People of color. I mean, everybody comes because everybody needs it. So skin hunger is pandemic. There's not if you were to say, who comes, people with skin come. Like, I don't know how to answer that question, because
no. The only reason why I asked that is because before I met you, I didn't know about cuddling. I didn't know about that aspect of, the skin hunger. I know that there was skin hunger, but I didn't know that there was that kind of remedy for it. So and I know I'm not the only person, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to get some kind of clarity as to who this is for and how it can help them, besides just the esoteric, you need a hug. Because I tell people all the time, when I first meet you, I'll shake your hand, but the next time I'll give you a hug, because that's just who I am, But I understand that you don't know what anyone's going through at any course of the day or year or time. And sometimes they just need a hug, But I didn't know that they had a real school for it. Can I sign up?
Yes, you can. You can become a cuddler. And I love that you presented that, because you and I talked about how you're a cuddler. You are naturally a cuddler. And someone like myself, I was touch avoidant. And where I was touch avoidant was, y'all cuddlers, y'all freak me out. I promise right now, y'all freak me out. And I say that as a professional cuddler, because and we know this, every time I talk, I have to talk about how people randomly come up and touch me. They will find out that I am not as cuddly as they think I am. And that is because for me, it was a conversation of consent. For me, it was a conversation of my body autonomy. For me, it was, my body belongs to me, and then I get to share it on my terms. And random cuddling was not safe to me. It did not feel comfortable to me. So professional cuddling takes those two people and kind of,
push them together.
kind of gives them some space so everybody gets what they need. You get to cuddle people, and I get to say, okay, Marcia, that's enough, and you don't feel bad,
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty of that, and it was really healing for me.
Before I left the corporate arena, I used to work with this young lady, and she was very adamant about her 3 inches of space. Like, do not roll up on me, give me my 3 inches. And until she gives you permission to enter her space. And I used to say, girl, you need to get that stick out your ass and just move along. But, when you just don't know, you just don't know, because I'm like, hey, no, not everybody is all for that kind of energy. We're almost at the end, and I know that we can go down this rabbit hole. I just want you to present to our audience who you are, and then we'll open up the floor for some questions.
Okay. So you've kind of covered a lot of what I do. I run a nonprofit called the Skin Hunger Project. I also have the Loving Well is where I do a lot of my coaching and things like that. Since we've talked, I've opened up Sex Positivity, which you are a part of, which is a group specifically for sex positive people of color. I'm all over, I run a page for polyamorous people. I run a page to educate women and empower women about asking questions and going to the gynecologist and reclaiming your vulva like that's yours, and being in charge of that entire visit from open door to closed again. Like, I really want women to be empowered about that. So I'm all over Facebook. I now have my own coaching page. I've done some public speaking about PTSD. That's one of the things I have added, is helping women with trauma with cuddling, because the body keeps the score. So we've been working with that. I don't know. I teach about sex. I post about orgasms. I mean, I don't know. I have a good life. I don't know. I have a good life. I'm not, I'm inviting money and abundance, but other than that, I have a fantastic life. So, and the offer that I have is, I'm going to give them, if they, within by the time, I don't know, end of October, is that when your deal is? The end of, ooh.
I'm sharing the screen so that we can see what your, I wanted to go into that, but we'll come back to that.
Okay. So yeah. And then, the 5-minute mojo course. Yes. And so that's the course that I was talking about is, I've changed the name, but yes, that's the course I'm talking about. And so, I'm revamping that. So, I do need some beta testers, so that'll be perfect. Okay. And then, but I want them to reach out to me within the next, before the end of October, because I'm revamping that. And so I need to kind of set that up, and I want to make sure that somebody's involved before I start, revamping. Okay. But we'll work something out. I got a couple of projects. Like I said, I've got the one right now where I'm doing on relationships. I've got all kinds of stuff. So come see me. I'm even doing something, Marcia, about weed and sexual health and desire. So,
Yes! I am there. You want a guinea pig? That's me!
So I got my hand in a lot of pots. So come on with the question. And come on with the question.
Well, right. I just wanted to kind of introduce that, these are just 2 of the toys that I'm privy to that will offer that excitement, that picture that I showed before where the couple was on the edge of the cliff. Well, yeah, this gives that excitement. And, the touch, the frisky feather duster, and the spinning swing. Yeah. So those are just 2 exciting toys that anyone who has bedroom adventure fantasies, they can explore. And I know you used to sell the toys too, right, Marcella?
Yeah, and I do that, but I do that more privately now, like, in conjunction with coaching and things like that. So I do have toys and things like that available. I have this amazing toy. It's a glass vibrator. Her name is Stella. Come see about it. I'm telling you. You will have people thinking you are a Streetcar of Desire fan. Let me tell you. You'll be yelling, Stella! Stella! It'll be awesome. All right.
Well, before we close out the show, I just wanted to let you know that our next show will be November 9th. No, November 8th. And we're talking about anal sex. And our guest on that show is the one and only Mr. Justin Sane. So,
Ooh.
Marcella, I love, love, love all the information that you shared. And my call to action for everyone who's in this lull in their relationship, and I'm not saying, you're over the embankment at the divorce court, but you just want to spice it up a little bit. These are what I have to offer. Make a date, rent a room at a hotel, spend some time at a pool, or spend the entire time just exploring every crack and crevice of each other. The skin is the largest erotic zone, as Marcella also mentioned, right? The largest organ. So at some point in time, you want to come home to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to open up the floor. Does anyone want to just share a few words, any questions, something that they want to offer? We welcome you. We thank you for spending time with us. Anybody want to say a few words?
And I have a few minutes for questions. Like I don't have to run off, but I do have to. I mean, like, yeah. So if anybody has any questions, I'm here.
I just can I share something?
Sure.
Okay. My name is Roxana, and I really love the beginning when you guys were talking about the love language. I think every couple should read, even if you're just starting dating. I think that's a great book to start out, to learn about, because, it took me 2 divorces for me to find out what I really wanted, to finally understand about, because I was guessing and trying to find out, making these men guess what they like about me. But the love language really opened up what kind of gift do I like to receive. So thank you for sharing that. That brought up a lot of memories.
Well, thank you, Roxana. Thank you for watching. Did you enjoy the show?
I did. It was really, really fun. You guys have so much energy. I love that spark. It's like spark and dust everywhere. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Miss Mazana, you're mute. Oh, you muted yourself? We can't hear you. We see you talking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Mizana. I'm a holistic practitioner. And I oftentimes have conversations, as well as spiritual coach, speak with women. My age group is women 50 plus years sage. So we have conversations about this all the time. And just piggybacking on what you said, which is so true. We oftentimes think about women and being in a relationship, and that, you should have good communication, or touching is okay, and it's good to play the games and what have you. But your experience, your history also plays such an important part in that. And so you come from a culture where sex isn't talked about, sexuality, getting to know who you are, your body. So it's very difficult to have a conversation with someone else about your needs, or about how do I even go about touching someone. So for me, I start with just sitting. How about you just sit and have a conversation of how you're feeling sitting without even the touching. And then maybe just the safe touching is touching the arms, touching the shoulders, breathing on the fingers, things like that. But it does take baby steps. And this culture talks a lot about space. Everyone needs their space. And so you create this invisible shell, exactly, this bubble, and you say, oh, you're in my space, and so therefore I'm feeling uncomfortable. That's a real thing. It's so real. So you take that into your bedroom, and it becomes very challenging to mesh. It becomes very challenging to talk.
it becomes very challenging to touch. It becomes very challenging to love. And so we start all over again. So it's taking baby steps, and we're bringing you out of that domestication mindset, because all of that, how you act, how you respond, how you sit, what you say, what you don't say, how to be. We have to move you from that mindset and place you in an environment that's safe for you, but also open for exploring new ideas. So that's excellent. It's very good. But yeah, I do with women 50 plus, and it's
So
lovely.
So Marcia will tell you, I reach over in this thing like all the time. So, but I want to recommend for you this book. It's called Touching for Pleasure. It's something as a somatic arts, and also
Who's it by?
Adele Kennedy and Susan Dean. It's out of print. Okay. Good news is, bad news is it could be hard to find in print. Good news is if you find it, it'll be cheap. You should buy extra copies. I tell anybody who does anything in the world of sex to get 2 copies, one that you can kind of, and then one that you don't let anybody touch. But it's something that came out of.
But it's called touching. They have to touch it.
Touching for pleasure. But it's a 12-step program used by surrogate partners. Way back, Dr. Adele Kennedy. Adele Kennedy was one of the original 6 surrogate partners, which is a whole nother conversation. And they developed a 12-step program that really starts off with hands. And like I said, Marcia, that's what I was talking about. Like you want them to come to the back of the book. They ain't even at the front of the book. They ain't even pick the book up. You just like, that's all right. Just look back here. Look back here. This book has how many? 117 pages to get you through 12 steps. Marcia's like, that's all right. Go ahead to the background. That's all right. Yo, that's all right. Put the pedal to the metal. That's all right. What you gonna do? But
not for nothing.
The wheels fall off.
even though, yeah, we skip a few steps. I try to tell them, listen, get in touch with you also. Try to masturbate. You know how many people think that is so dirty and so nasty and so this and so that? OMG. Once you've crossed that threshold, and I'm not trying to be coy about it or anything. Once you've crossed that threshold, it brings a whole new perspective on your esteem, your confidence, just everything, and able to have those conversations that seem so tried and so tiring and, oh my God, how am I going to talk about this? And I want my space and all this kind of stuff. So it just brings a whole new light, like a flashlight on that masturbation piece.
You know what? I'm going to leave you with this. When I started out with my Pure Romance, which is a company that I sell toys from, I did a party. This girl flew me to California, and we did this party. And, they used to do samples. That was one of the things. The biggest things was girls get to, do the samples, and they try to product. And we had this thing, and I used to call it orgasm in a tube. And one of the things was you had to go and put it on your clitoris, and one you slid into your vulva. And so they were really excited about trying this product. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. So this woman goes into the bathroom, Marcia, to try this product. She comes, the next thing I know, I'm in the middle of my presentation. She opens the door, pants around her ankles, right? Pants around her ankles. She's asking for help to find her clitoris. Her daughter, who is 40 years old, turns as red as that thing behind your head. It was like she went red and then she just went white, like she died. I was like, and the only thing I could say was, they don't pay me to do that, so I can't help you to do that.
She didn't know where it was?
She didn't know where it was. She had a grown daughter at the party, did not know where her clitoris was.
Wow.
We have work to do.
We do. We sure do. You were going to say something, Mazana?
I think I was going to say that that a lot of times, we just take a lot for granted because we know, and we've been exposed. But there's so many women who don't know, and then it becomes our job. So we figure, well, our job as in coaching or healers or what have you,
Right.
And I have found with women 50 plus years sage, even because of the age group, it's almost as though you are talking to someone with a system that's so antiquated, like you have to jolt them into the 21st century. And a lot of women are like that. And you can't go by, oh, well, they look as though they're progressive women, because that is not true. Once you hear the conversation, it's like, okay, well, where are you coming from? So it takes me back, but being a counselor, you can't really show that kind of like, wait a minute, I didn't expect that from you. So I have to get past that, because it meant that I made an assumption. So I have to work with that within myself. And the other thing, I have to help them get to where they would like to be. So I have to meet them at their level.
Right.
And that's not always an easy task. So when I said that to say, because Marcella, you said, well, look, I'm a coach. I'm not a counselor. So, and it's true. That whole counseling piece, you have to kind of, make that a priority before you even go to the coaching stage, because it's a lot of baggage. It's a lot of baggage.
Yep. Sure is.
And I tell people I will coach them, and they'll get counseling through my coaching. But if you have to be in the slow lane, and that's okay, I have to refer you out
to someone else,
because the work that I do, like, Marcia is not kidding. I transform her life every time we talk, and and she's doing hard work, right? So if I have somebody who's not doing work, that's why mine is called the Loving Well, is because I'm coming from the point that people are well enough to work with me, that they have a foundation of wellness to work with me. Because if you don't have a foundation of wellness to work for me, I then, as a practitioner, I have to decide what work are we going to be able to do, because my job is to transform your life. My job is to move you forward. My job is not to tear it apart and then leave you with no ecosystem from which to conduct your normal
Because then
life.
it becomes a disservice to the individual.
Right.
Yes.
Then it becomes a disservice. I love you, ladies, but I do have to go and get my offspring.
Thank you for being here tonight. Did you have a good time?
When do I not have a good time? You're like the laughter orgasm that I haven't had today. Like, we should just come with like a warning signal. Don't have nothing in your mouth, and don't, because you're gonna spit it at your cell phone. Have a lot of fun.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by the S.W.E.L.L happy hour tonight. And ladies, thank you for making this enjoyable and riveting, and the conversation just pulsating. Yeah. Thank you. And as Maya Angelou says, people never remember what you said, people never remember what you do, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. So I hope we made you feel comfy and cozy and a little bit of value. So have a good night, ladies, and thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.